Hi there, my name is Sarah Eardley. I'm a registered massage therapist at Elite Sports Medicine and also a registered yoga instructor. So today, this short video is a beginner general yoga practice where we're focusing on getting essentially the whole body moving. Every time you come into a pose, rather than thinking about stretching a particular muscle, try to think of using the body in entirety. So it's a complex movement to try to find a balanced position in the body whilst holding an awareness to our breath. Okay, I'll explain this in more detail as we go. But before we get started, just make sure that you have a yoga mat down, have a couple of props by your mat as well. You may or may not need them, but it's nice to have them there just in case. So I recommend 2 yoga blocks. If you don't have yoga blocks themselves, you can use blocks or cans, anything that's hard enough for you to support your weight down into. And then a yoga strap or a belt works just as well. And either a yoga towel or a pillow, something soft that we can use to support our weight down into the ground, just as an extra cushioning, or to help lift our body up from the ground. Okay, so please modify where you need to. If anything that I say doesn't make sense, or you know that the movements that we go through don't feel good in your body, then don't do them. Bring yourself into a position that does feel safe, and then continue on as you need.
Starting in child's pose, you could bring your blanket underneath your knees for cushion, perhaps a block underneath the forehead. Feet are together, sit bones to the heels, arms reaching out in front of you or alongside you. Just let the weight of the body settle into the mat. Find a comfortable rhythm of breath, balancing the length of your inhales to the length of your exhales. Inhale, come up into a tabletop position. Hands are underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. Draw your belly slightly up so as to not to sag through the low back. Begin by just moving the pelvis. Inhale, lift your tailbone, hips shift forward. Exhale, tuck your tailbone. And continue to move with your breath, trying to isolate the movement just to the pelvis and the low back. Keep the pelvis in a neutral position and move the shoulders. Inhale, lift the upper back towards the ceiling. Exhale, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Elbows stay straight, isolating the movement to the movement of the shoulder blades, protracting and retracting. Find a neutral spine. Then we move into cat-cows. Initiating the movement at the pelvis as you inhale, lift the tailbone, lift your heart, lift your gaze. As you exhale, you tuck your tailbone, rounding through the whole of the spine. As you inhale, the crown of the head lengthens, shoulder blades squeeze together. As you exhale, you really lengthen through the whole back of the body. Trying to create a union between the length of the movement and the length of the breath. Rest back into your child's pose position, this time bringing the knees together, letting the chest just fold over the thighs. Perhaps the forehead is resting on a block. Again, find that rhythm of breath. Arms reach out in front of you. Press yourself up into a tabletop position. Feel your sit bones extend straight back, the crown of the head straight forward. Ground your right toes into the mat, to the back edge of the mat. Left arm reaches forward. As you exhale, lift your right foot off the ground, the heel in line with the pelvis. As you exhale, hug the knee and elbow underneath the body. As you inhale, lengthen through the fingertips, press through the sole of the foot. And use the exhale to round, coming underneath the body. Other side. Extend your left leg, grounding through the soles of the toes. Reach your right fingertips forward. Lift your right heel. Draw your lower ribs in and down. As you reach out through the arm and the leg, create a sense of tension, of tautness, and then squeezing in as you round through the spine. Return to your tabletop position. Grounding through the soles of the toes, lift your knees just to a hover. Imagine the front of your hip bones drawing into the midline of your body. On your next exhale, press into your palms, keep your knees bent, and send your bottom up and back. You're pushing your shoulders away from your hands, keeping the knees soft at first to create space for the low back and the entirety of the spine to lengthen as you send those sit bones up and back. You may choose to alternate grounding either heel down into the mat. Just warming up through the backs of the legs. Inhale, shift your weight forward into a high plank position. Navel to the spine. Drop your knees. Lower yourself all the way to the mat, keeping the navel to the spine, the elbows close to the body. Keep hips and tops of feet grounded. Lift your heart, squeezing shoulder blades together. Lower the front of the body down. Again, lift as you inhale, keeping length in the spine, lifting the heart. This time, ground through hands and knees. Exhale to press up through a tabletop position. Then press the sit bones back to the heels, child's pose, or downward facing dog. Whatever variation feels the best for you. Keep the joints of the body soft, using a balanced muscular engagement through the entirety of the legs, the entirety of the arms, to find a gradual lengthening through the ankle joint, the knee joints. Inhale, step forward, halfway lift. Fold forward, exhale, navel to the spine, crown of the head hangs to the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, again, fold forward, Uttanasana, standing forward fold. You may choose to use blocks underneath your palms if touching the ground isn't in reach. Inhale, halfway lift again. Hands to the hips. Inhale, reach through the fingertips. Exhale here. Inhale, come all the way to standing. Reach the arms to the ceiling. Exhale, mountain posed. Inhale, again, reach the arms to the ceiling. Exhale, fold forward, navel to the spine. Inhale, halfway lift. Step back into your high plank position. You can drop your knees or keep them lifted as you lower into a low plank. Elbows stack above the wrist. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Hands are shoulder distance apart or wider. Spread through the fingers and ground equally down through all 10 fingers. Reach your right leg up and back. Step the foot forward in between the hands. Low lunge position. Drop your left knee. Hands can come to your hips or reach towards the ceiling. Find balance grounding through both feet and square the hips. Right hip draws slightly back, left hip slightly forward. Your torso lifts up and away from your front thigh as your pelvis anchors to the mat. Hands come to the pelvis. Inhale, lift your back knee if it's accessible. Keep the right knee stacked above the right heel. Inhale, reach through the arms. As you exhale, hinge at your hips. Keep balance weight through both feet and keep your torso off your thigh. Navel to the spine. Inhale, lengthen through the torso. Exhale, ground to the palms. Step back, inhale. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana, low plank. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Other side, left leg reaches up and back on the inhale. Step the foot forward as you exhale. Dropping the right knee, coming into your low lunge position. Again, hands either stay to the pelvis or reach the fingertips towards the ceiling. As the arms reach above the head, the shoulders anchor away from your ears. Really press down into your feet. Inhale, lift your right knee. Keep the pelvis square. Inhale, reach through the arms. Hinge from your hips, maintaining length through your spine. Active engagement through the lower abdominals. Almost trying to find a connection from pelvic floor right through to the crown of the head. Exhale, bring your hands to the mat. Step back. Lower Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Breathe here. Trying to restore a balance of ease and softening in the body, whilst maintaining enough muscular engagement for support and stability. Inhale, step the feet forward, halfway lift. Fold forward, weight of the pelvis above the heels. Inhale, come all the way up to standing, reach arms overhead. Exhale, mountain pose, arms alongside you. Chair pose. Either squeeze the legs together, bending at the knees, drop the pelvis. Alternatively, you can bring a block in between your thighs and squeeze the insides of the thighs onto the block. Hands come to heart center. As you exhale, can you sit a little lower into your chair? Weight comes back into the heels. Find length through the spine first as you inhale, and then as you exhale, you twist. Bring left elbow to the outside of your right knee. Keep your hips and your knees square. Inhale, come through center. Exhale, twist to the other side. You may need to shift your right hip slightly back to keep the pelvis square. Inhale, come through center. Exhale, folding forward, keeping length in the spine. Inhale, halfway lift, remove your block. Keep the torso lifted, hands to the hips. Reach your arms out from your shoulders. Keep the navel to the spine. Inhale, reach all the way up to standing, pressing through the feet. Exhale, mountain pose. Extended triangle. Step your right foot to the back edge of your mat. Right toes point to the back edge of your mat. Left toes point to the back left-hand corner of the mat. Shift your right hip back, your left hip slightly forward. Staying grounded through the four corners of your feet. Rolling your right inner thigh slightly out, your left inner thigh slightly in. Starting to stack left side of your torso above right. Hand either comes to the shin or down onto a block, ensuring not to hyperextend through your knees. So keep a gentle softness in your knees, straightening the legs via the muscles. Inhale, bring yourself up to standing. Warrior two. Left toes point to the side edge of the mat. Keep the right toes pointing to the back. Right knee stacks above the heel. Then start to sink the pelvis down. Lift up through the spine. Reach out through the arms, keeping the weight of the torso stacked above your hips. Straighten your right knee, then pivot the feet, setting up for extended triangle on the other side. Left toes point to the front edge of your mat. Right toe starting to angle slightly forward. Looking for this balanced rotation through the legs. So rolling your left inner thigh slightly out, creating room for your left hip to shift back, but stay grounded through the left big toe. Your right inner thigh rolls in, staying grounded through your right outer heel. Keep your lower ribs drawing in and down, and reach the crown of the head away from the sit bones, creating length through the spine. Inhale, bring yourself back up, warrior two. So increase the length between the feet. Left knee bends, stacking above your left heel. Grounding down through the inside outside edge of your right foot, which is now parallel to the back edge of your mat. Use the arch in both feet to lift up and engage through the inside line of the legs. Then from the base of the pelvis, lift up through the torso through to the crown of the head. Straighten your left leg, inhale. Turn both toes to the side of the mat so that your feet are parallel to the front and back edge of the mat. Reach through the arms, 5-pointed star, navel to the spine as you inhale. As you exhale, hands to the hips. Hinging forward. Inhale, halfway lift, feel the hips stack above the heels. Exhale, keep the spine long as you fold forward. The crown of the head will start to come towards the ground. You can use your hands onto blocks if need be, or for those of you going a little deeper, you may be walking your hands back so that the heels of the hands press into the mat in line with the heels of the feet. The elbows stacking over the wrist. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands come to the hips. Inhale, come all the way to standing. Step to the front of your mat, mountain pose. Vinyasa. Inhale, reach tall, press the palms. Exhale, fold forward, softening your knees if you need. Inhale, halfway lift. Step back into your high plank. Lower, again, maybe you drop your knees. Inhale, upward facing dog or baby cobra. Baby cobra, just lift the heart. Exhale, lower down. Pressing through hands and knees, coming into child's pose. Reconnect to your breath. Bring yourself up to your seat. Legs come out in front of you. Staff pose. So wanting to ground down through both sit bones, you may like to fold up a towel and sit just on the edge of the towel if you're feeling as though you're rounding in your low back. This will help to tilt the pelvis slightly forward and keep a nice long spine. Now bring your palms down on either side of your hips, either grounding into blocks or the ground. Anchor your shoulders down. Press through your feet. Legs are active. Core is active as you lift from base of the pelvis to crown of head. Bring the sole of your left foot to the inside of the right thigh. Root down through both sit bones. And you may like to use your strap, bringing it to the sole of your right foot. Keep a long spine and use an exhale to hinge forward. If you don't have a strap, you can hold on to wherever is accessible to you on the leg. Keep the spine long. Keep an awareness of engagement through the lower abdominal muscles. Keep lengthening through the spine. Inhale, bring the torso up. Bending both knees, resting onto the hands, windshield wiper the legs. Just gently letting the legs drop to side, creating a little bit of movement through the hips. Now straighten your left leg, bring the sole of your right foot to the left inner thigh, either using your strap to make bind with the foot, or again grab onto wherever is accessible to you on the leg. Square the hips as you press the sole of the right foot into the left thigh. You reach your left sit bone back and press through the sole of your left foot, always maintaining active length through the spine. Inhale, bring the torso up. Again, windshield wiper the legs from side to side, just to release any residual tension. I'm turning to face the camera here just so that you can see a different angle, but you can stay as you are. So we come into your square position. Your right shin can either just stay in front of the left, or you're bringing the outside of your right ankle on top of your left knee, stacking knee above ankle, ankle above knee. The sensation should be felt here in the hips, as it's a hip opener pose. If there's any discomfort in your knees, then come into the first variation, just simply crossing the legs, choosing to stay upright or hinging forward, maintaining length through the spine, and a subtle engagement through the front of the shin as the toes come back to the shin. Inhale, lift the torso. Then either stack right knee on top of left, feet by the hips, or you can ground the right foot, right knee points to the ceiling, or your left leg can lay flat, right knee stacks on top of the knee. Make sure the sit bones are equally rooted. Reaching your left arm up and over the head, bend the elbow. Use your right hand to draw the elbow towards the head. Your hand reaching for mid-back. Keep heart lifted, lower ribs drawing in and down. Now you may choose to stay with this variation or reach right arm out, turn your thumb down and bring the back of the hand to your low back. Some of you might be able to grab onto your left hand with your right. For others, you might want to use a strap. So bring the strap into your left hand, the strap will hang down the back, and then you grab onto the strap with the right hand, gradually working towards walking the hands up the strap to meet each other. Release the strap, reach out through your arms, then wrap your right arm on top of your left, like you're giving yourself a big hug. You can stay there or wrap your arms like ropes, reaching your arms to the ceiling, shoulders anchored down away from your ears. Inhale, can you reach the hands a little higher? Exhale, draw the shoulders away from the ears. Reach your arms out nice and wide, and then release. Switching sides. This time, your left leg will come on top of your right, or your left shin in front of your right. If you are hinging forward, keep an awareness of engagement through the front of the body, maintaining length through the spine, and a subtle engagement through the shoulders, drawing in together and down the back. Inhale, the torso comes up. Option to stack knees one on top of each other, or the left foot grounds down, the knee points to the ceiling. This time bring your right arm up over the head, holding onto your right elbow with your left hand. Balance the weight of the head and torso above the pelvis. One straight line through the center of the body. Staying here, or your back of the left hand reaches for the low back, reaching up to meet the right hand. Again, if you're using your strap, the strap will come into the right hand first, dangling the strap down the back. Release. Then wrap the arms out in front of you, left arm on top of right, keeping the arms here or wrapping the arms like ropes. Elbows are lifted, forearms drawing away from the body. Shoulders are anchoring down the back. Keep lifting the spine up out of the pelvis and rooting the weight of the sit bones down into the mat. Release. Uncross the legs and bring yourself down onto your back. Once on your back, press your feet into the mat, flatten your shoulders down, bend the elbows to a 90-degree angle, keeping the shoulder blades flat, the low back flat to the mat. Then on an inhale, keep the wrists and the elbows grounded as you slide the backs of the hands up to the back of the mat, and then back down again as you exhale. Bring your arms alongside you, your feet closer to your pelvis, just grazing your heels with your fingertips. Press into your feet. Begin to tuck the tailbone, lifting the hips off the mat. Press through the heels as you lift the hips up. Slowly lower the spine back down onto the mat. Exhale, press the hips to the ceiling. Inhale, lower the spine and pelvis back down. Again, exhale, tuck the tailbone, press the hips, squeeze the glutes. Holding here. Keeping your toes and your knees pointing straight forward. Your shoulder blades pressing down into the mat, widening through the collarbones. Lower the body back down. Reach your arms out either sides of the shoulders. And gently drop the knees to the right and then to the left. And then back to the right. And to the left. Bring the soles of the feet together. Let the knees drop to the sides of the mat. Bringing your blocks underneath your outer thighs. Opening your thighs enough to feel that lengthening sensation in the groin, but using the blocks to stop the legs from opening to a point that creates discomfort or pinching in the hips. Then hand to the belly, one to the chest. Just observe the breath. You can use your hands to help bring the thighs back together. Separate your feet and let your knees drop into the midline. Then eventually, just laying flat on your back, for Shavasana. Make sure you're nice and comfortable here on your back. You may like to roll up a towel to bring to the nape of the neck to maintain that natural curvature through the neck. Or if there's discomfort in the low back, then bring a pillow or towel underneath your knees. You may even choose to bend the knees and keep the feet grounded if that feels more comfortable for your low back. Then let the body just relax. Let the ground complete the entirety of your body weight. Letting the breath go. And allow yourself to soften and deepen into this place of relaxation for as long as you possibly can. Thanks for joining us. See you soon.